Hello and welcome to the Battle Room. My name is Colin, and today I'm going to be walking you through round 2 of the X9 tour. So I started out the tour 1-0. The last video is in the description if you want to check that out. And so I'm feeling good. 1-0 is always a great way to start the tournament. You really want to hit your stride early and you want to continue with the momentum. So I'm feeling good going into round 2. I see that my opponent is Pengy, who's a Twitch streamer as well. So I see their team right off the bat. And I notice one thing that's really important. So my team is a little bit weak to taunt. Specifically like Porygon and Celesteela. Like I want to be able to Eerie Impulse and Trick Room, and I want to set up Leech Seeds. It's really important to my strategy, and it's really important for momentum. So stuff like Taunt Spectrier gives me a lot of issues, and you'll notice there's a Spectrier. But the Spectrier does not have Taunt. And team sheets are really cool, and I think they really do benefit a good player because they're able to abuse information like this. Like I know Whimsicott has Taunt, so all I have to do is fake out Whimsicott and I can set up Trick Room for free. That's why I do in fact lead Porygon 2 and Incineroar. If I fake out Whimsicott, set up Trick Room, I should be able to sweep this team very easy. The matchup looks extremely favorable for me. Like they have nothing for Glastrier really once Trick Room is up. So with that in mind, I do lead Porygon and Incin, and I bring Glastrier in the back, and Garchomp is there just to like potentially clean up Rotom, who could give my other Pokemon issues because like they're not the greatest versus Rotom. I do have Eerie Impulse, which is always actually a pretty great answer, but Garchomp's just in case Rotom gets a little out of hand. Celesteela and Coco, well, pretty good Pokemon here, they're just kind of awkward speed-wise. If this wasn't open team sheet, this would be a lot harder matchup because I would assume Spectrier has Taunt, because otherwise they can't beat Fake Out Trick Room, which is something that every team needs to beat. But since I know it's open team sheet, the Whimsicott is just getting faked out. So that's my entire game plan going into this, and it's just going to be more of a matter of, I'll get up Trick Room, but can I make full use out of my 4 turns of Trick Room? That's all that matters to me, is trying to get the KOs necessary. And some of the Pokemon on this team do in fact help me do that. It is Choice Scarf Dracovish, so that means it can't protect. So if they bring Dracovish, easy clap, right? Dracovish is dead. Whimsicott is rather frail as well. Stuff like Incin can actually deal with Whimsicott as well. So I find myself with a lot of Pokemon that I can breeze through quick enough, and that's a good thing for my Trick Room strategy here. I've done this play thousands of times. I've played Pokemon for 9 years, and Fake Out Trick Room is my bread and butter. So I'm ecstatic going into this game. Like I'm feeling very, very confident. So right off the bat, we get that attack boost, which isn't very useful, and Intimidate's not helping us either. But again, we're just pressing Fake Out and Trick Room. That's all I need to do. That's all I need to do for this first couple turns. Even adjusting, there's nothing my opponent can do because the Taunt will always be on that Whimsicott. Intimidate will always weaken their physical attackers, so Porygon will always be able to get up Trick Room. They just have no way to one-shot Porygon. So I'm feeling very, very good about this set. It's just, again, all the focus of this set is how useful can my Trick Room turns be. So we see the Fake Out connect onto Whimsicott, and we do see it try to Taunt or Tailwind or whatever, probably Taunt, right? But it does flinch because Fake Out always flinches, and we take a Mud Shot. I do think not maxing is the right play from my opponent. Like you don't want to like blow the max Quake and have instant live and then still like cause problems. And also giving me a free switch would be bad. So the turn 1 is as best as my opponent's gonna get. I think it was relatively a safe turn from them, but they're still in it. But I do get up Trick Room. That's all I wanted. That's all I want this game. So here, the situation is pretty good for me. Again, I need to start getting KOs. So that's why I go for Flare Blitz onto Whimsicott. I need to KO quickly, and I need to start sweeping. So I want to get the quick KOs because then the other Pokemon will start coming in, which means that I can start getting KOs. I do switch Porygon immediately into Glastrier as well because I do need to sweep. Like I said, timing is of the essence, and if I bring in Glastrier now, I can start doing big damage with my Trick Room turns. I'm not super afraid of Spectrier like hitting me with a Shadow Ball or something, so it's not a huge deal. So we're going to see Clefairy come in and a Protect from Spectrier. This couldn't have gone better for me. I'm getting free damage on Clefairy, which feels good, and I got my Trick Room Sweeper in for free. So turn 1 and turn 2 have went perfect. I don't think anything could have went better. I don't think I could have played better. Just perfect turns for me, especially because my opponent did go for Protect there, which means now it's free. It's a free target to hit, right? So right here, it's a pretty safe play. I go for the max Steel Spike onto Clefairy to get the KO. It's a little risky because they could protect Clefairy, and that, again, that would waste Trick Room turns. That's really important. But I also can get up Trick Room in the future, which is something that's important. That's why I'm conserving Incin as well. I'm going for Steel Spike Parting Shot because either way, I'll grab a KO if Clefairy doesn't protect. If it does protect, I'll still deal damage, and I'll also weaken Spectrier and that's a bonus as well. And I potentially am threatening going into a normal type with parting shot, so like I might not even take damage if they go for max phantasm on instant, which they probably shouldn't. It'll just probably be a max quake. But there's a lot of things that could go my way here. So we're gonna see the Dynamaxes here. I do Dynamax Glastrier. Like, I need to get these Trick Room turns going, right? And this is the perfect Pokemon to do it, because there's only 3 turns left at this point. So that's pretty relevant. Like, I need to make sure these KOs are going down. Otherwise, you know, potentially I could lose. A lot of the times you can't get all the KOs, and you just need to chip down the team far enough that when Trick Room ends, you're still in a good spot. Or your fast Pokemon can clean up, like my Garchomp in this case. They still haven't maxed yet, which is pretty relevant because something really scary in the back could max. Like Rotom, potentially. Rotom could cause me issues. Again, we don't know what their last Pokemon is. We know it's Whimsicott and we know it's Clefairy, which are both free Pokemon to deal with. Like, they're not putting on much pressure offensively. So Spectrier has to max, or whatever the last thing is. So they're not maxing Spectrier, which kind of leads me to believe that it might be Rotom. It might be something they're trying to conserve the max for, or they just don't want to trade max turns with my glass, but that's never necessarily a good thing. They do also know I'm not Dark Move on instant, so they know they're not like really like threatened by an Oko here. So I am going to Parting Shot, get that free -1, and go into Porygon 2 to soak up whatever the Mud Shot, you know, Max Strike, whatever they were going to do to me. Porygon's a great one to go into. It's probably going to be a Mud Shot here, which I would have lived anyways because it barely did half. So the Mud Shot does come through. So this is great positioning for my P2. The speed drop is whatever. His whole team is extremely fast, so it's not a big deal. I think they took more damage from the Life Orb than I took from the Mud Shot, to be honest here. So this situation is very good for me. So Whimsicott's going to come back in, and again, it's not putting on any offensive pressure, so that's good for me. It could hit me with a Taunt, which would suck for P2 because I wouldn't be able to Eerie Impulse or recover or whatever. I would be forced to Tri Attack, and Tri Attack's like not killing Whimsicott anyways, but I will go for Eerie Impulse anyways, because there's not much I can really do. So, like, even if they do Taunt, which probably is their best play, it still doesn't really matter because I can't really do anything. I can't, like, try attack a Spectrier. But it does switch, so that is good. They go for Fake Tears on the Glastrier, which is fine by me. And I do juice Eerie Impulse to Dracovish, which is kind of worthless. But we do now know that Dracovish is the last Pokemon, which is amazing news for me, because that means their only good max is Spec. And I can definitely deal with that thing. I also have some fat Steel Spikes on my guys here. So Porygon is sitting really, really pretty, because I have 2 Steel Spikes onto Porygon. I believe 1 Steel Spike. This is the first Steel Spike on a Porygon. And also 2 on a glass. So like Dracovish is really not that scary. And I know it can't protect because I believe this one is Scarf. So this is just a great position for me once again. And this whole game has just been going like exactly as planned. And I just abused my Trick Room turns. Now this turn is the safest play in the game. I just max Hailstorm the Dracovish because I know it can't protect. So it's so safe for me to just do that. And I Eerie Impulse the Spectrier as well because there's only 2 Pokemon left, which means I guarantee lowered special attack by 2 stages for the rest of the game. It could obviously grab a KO here and there and try to snowball back, but as long as I'm spamming Eerie Impulse, it will never get to play the game. And if I kill Dracovish, which I'm guaranteed to here, I win. So this game was pretty well played by me. Like, it was just pretty straightforward. I followed my Trick Room script, like press Trick Room, press Fake Out, switch into Glass, and sweep, right? It was like really self-explanatory and a pretty easy game for me overall. My mental tendons were not stressed here. I felt confident the entire time. And it went exactly as it went in my head, which is always a great feeling. So going into, like, thinking forward to game 2, they will max guard, which is just prolonging the inevitable. But looking forward into game 2, there's not much they can do to adjust. They could bring potentially Rotom-Heat or Urshifu, which I think Rotom-Heat would help a lot just because it will slow down the Glass onslaught. But even then, like, Glass is doing too much. Like, it's causing too much issues. Like, I can stall Rotom-Heat with Eerie Impulse, like, because it doesn't have Wisp. So I'm feeling confident no matter what Pokemon they were to adjust to. Urshifu could be annoying, but even Urshifu is going to get, like, it can't one-shot Porygon because I can intimidate it immediately. That's one of the strengths of Porygon. Being able to intimidate Urshifu on the super effective hit is very relevant. And that's why, like, Dusclops can falter sometimes against Urshifu because Wicked Blow always crits. So I check out those stat boosts really quick. I see I'm at -2 special defense, but it's not a big deal. All I have to do is Trick Room and then just do as much damage as I can. I do switch out to Incineroar here. I think I do. I switched to Garchomp. So I'm keeping Incin alive because, you know, like Spectrier can barely touch it. So I switched to Garchomp just to like get rid of my stat drops because this game's like practically over. Just crossing my T's, right, and dotting my I's. I need to just make sure the game ends as cleanly as possible. They can't even do much damage to Porygon either, so I'm not too worried. They would have to crit like a max strike, but even then, like, it's not gonna kill. So they do go for Max Phantasm into Garchomp. It does pick up the KO, but it's too late. Trick Room's up. All I have to do is Eerie Impulse spam, and the game will go in my favor. So we see Trick Room, and it's just more of a matter of getting there, you know? It's always important to play these endgames as cleanly as possible, though. You never want to give your opponent even an inch, right? Because, like, let's say the Spectrier slow ball is out of control. I could be in big trouble, so it's really important to play as safely as possible when the win is just, like, this locked up. I don't think I could mess up, though, really. Like, even if I let Glass die there, it wouldn't be a big deal, so I spam Eerie Impulse, and, like, as long as a ton of crits don't come my way, I'll win. One important thing to note, too, is, like, Porygon will beat Spectrier in the 1v1. Even though I don't have a move to even hit the Spectrier, I will win because the Life Orb recoil will kill it before I'll just recover spam, and there's nothing Spectrier can do. I'll win on time. I'll win by natural causes because this one is Life Orb, so I'll always take the victory here. So again, we're just slowly chipping this thing down. The game is completely locked at this point. Spectrier gets small, which means, you know, I'll grab the KO right here, right now, with Glastrier. I also have basically a half HP Incin, which feels pretty good as well, because it can win as well. And Heavy Slam is just safe, like, it always hits, so it's the best play there, and we take the victory. So that's game one. After that, I'm feeling really confident. I don't know if there's much my opponent can do. It almost seems like an auto loss. Like, Fake Out plus Trick Room seems too strong here, which is amazing for me. You know, I don't want to mess up, and I think, like, playing something I'm very comfortable with, Trick Room, is very easy for me to succeed with. So, like, this is just, like, a storm for my opponent. I'm able to play in my comfort and also have a good matchup. It's like, I'm feeling 100% amazing here. So, once again, I'm going to follow this game plan, right? Incin Porygon, set up the Trick Room, sweep with Glastrier, and just go from there. Garchomp again is just in case that rotom-h shows up. It didn't do much last game, it just died, so it wasn't very useful, but it's still nice to have as an insurance policy against the rotom if the rotom does show its oveny face here. So we're gonna see our opponent lead with Whimsicott or Shifu, which is totally fine by me, because it does mean that my Fake Out plus Trick Room strategy doesn't change. There's nothing that can really lead to stop this. But this is something that has potential. Because if they do crit close combat, that's the only real win con that they have to stop Porygon 2 from just setting up Trick Room in their face. So I like the adjustment, but like it is rather hopeless as long as that 6% chance roll doesn't occur. So we press Fake Out on that Whimsicott, and we press Trick Room. It's a really safe play, and again, guaranteed setup, right? So Fake Out connects onto Whimsicott, doing a ton of damage because we landed that spicy critical hit. Not going to matter too much. And we actually see them go for Wicked Blow, which I think was kind of a misplay. Like, it does ignore Intimidate, but that will never kill because it always crits. I think Close Combat was a much better play, but I'm not complaining. I'll take it. We were living Close Combat anyways because of Intimidate, so it was going to be a good turn for me regardless. Turn 2 is pretty safe for me as well because I'm able to Flare Blitz and try attack this Urshifu without fear because I know it is Choice Band. It can't stop me. The best it can do is switch, I guess, right? That's the only thing it really has the option to. And Whimsicott isn't going to threaten a KO on either of my Pokemon. It could taunt me, it could do annoying things, but that's about it. Whimsicott in open team sheets is much worse than Whimsicott on ladder because I think Whimsicott on ladder is just scary. It can Encore, it can Trick Room, it can Tailwind, it can Taunt, it can Moonblast, it can Energy Ball. You never know what it's going to do. Switcheroo! It's going to cause problems. But when you have an open team sheet, Whimsicott is like, it's just not as scary. Like, you know what it's going to do, but I can play accordingly because I know exactly what the set is. So a double tap is very easy for me. So they actually switch into rotom-h, which I mentioned could be a huge problem. But this is huge damage from Porygon because of a download boost. We do almost half with Tri Attack, and this rotom is not berry, so all this damage is permanent. They can't heal, they can't do anything to save their rotom, and rotom was their best answer to Glastrier, so this turn is just immaculate for me. It couldn't have gone better. So going forward, this game is looking really, really good for me. I just have to do a few things to guarantee my win here. I need to do as much damage as possible so something like Max Glastrier or Max Garchomp can sweep, because they haven't maxed yet, but neither have I, and we've already done, you know, 75% to Rotom, which was Glastrier's only threat. So I am excited here. I am happy. So I go for Flare Blitz into Whimsicott because I need to start killing Pokemon. KOing Pokemon is really huge for these Trick Room turns so that they're not able to switch and resist and just be obnoxious and force you to like potentially read them. So getting guaranteed KOs is something you always want to do in Trick Room here. I will attempt to recover because, you know, if they don't taunt me, who cares? I get to recover off, that's amazing. But if they do taunt me, like Rotom is going to Thunderbolt me or Overheat me, I don't really care too much. So like at this point, trying to go for recover I think is way more worth than not. So we see Spectrier switch in over the rotom-h, which is fine by me. It means that nothing's dying this turn for me. And I do get taunted, so there's no recover, but like, worst case, I would try attack that slot, which would mean that I didn't get to recover anyways. Like, no matter what Porygon did this turn, it wasn't gonna get to play. So it was kind of a wash for me. I am taunted for future turns, which is kind of annoying because I can't just recover spam through the Trick Room turns and set it up again. But it is overall a fine position. We have a KO, Rotom's at 25%, and we still have 2 full HP Pokemon in the back. So we see Rotom come back in, which I'm feeling good about because we do threaten the KO with potentially Tri-Attack, which means they might protect. We have a lot of pressure on these slots. Spectrier isn't really in that much pressure, you know, because of the fact that I don't have a dark move. So I am going to Parting Shot it, try to weaken it as possible, and then switch to Glastrier. I'm feeling pretty confident in the Rotom Protect, but even if it weren't to Protect, it wouldn't really matter that much. All I need to do is be able to recover with P2, and I'm going to be able to navigate myself into a good spot once again. And I'm also assuming there's a pretty likely Protect coming out for Rotom. But I'm in such a good spot that even if it weren't protecting, I would still be happy with my situation. So we're going to see the giant Ghost Horse again, which is fine by me because I'm going for a Parting Shot into that slot. So as long as there's not a Max Guard, which is very unlikely at this point, I am going to lower its special attack for the next couple turns. Rotom protects just as expected. I get a free switch into the Ghost Horse, and I Parting Shot it. So even if they were to hit my Ghost Horse with, like, I don't know, they read the switch and they go for Max Phantasm, I'll still be in a good spot. So we withdraw Ensign, and we go right back into P2, navigating ourselves into a position that we can recover once again if we were to live this Mud Shot. But worst case, you know, like P2 goes down, but I'm feeling confident that my P2 can live this. I really am. So they do go for Max Quake right into that Incineroar slot. I would be able to get Incin back in for free, but P2, tank ESL, it lives that. Easy money. The special defense does rise, which is totally fine, because I'm going to try to kill these Pokemon with my Glastrier anyways. So right here, I have a lot of options. I end up going for Eerie Impulse just to weaken the Spectrier for the rest of the game, and I threaten to Max Knuckle KO onto Rotom, and or a ton of damage onto Urshifu. So like I'm either KOing Rotom or doing big damage to Urshifu, which might almost kill it as well. Eerie Impulse may seem like kind of a weird play, but I do think it's worth just because we are going to weaken Spectrier to -2 for the rest of the game, even if they do grab the KO, because they're at -1 right now. They'll go to -3 and then they'll go to -2 if they get 1 KO. So like their Spectrier is just going to be weakened for the rest of the game, especially if I kill Rotom or Urshifu here, which is almost guaranteed. I'm feeling very, very good about myself. The big Ice Horse is going to cause issues. Rotom took too much damage early in the game for me to be afraid anymore with this Ice Horse. Rotom does attempt that double protect, but it fails, thankfully for me. And I do grab this KO onto Rotom. They protect or Max Guard, but it's not a big deal. I'll be able to Eerie Impulse them next turn anyways. And it does mean that I can potentially hit them with a Hailstorm if I'm feeling confident. But at this point, like, Glastrier is in such a good spot. It's not even funny. I get my attack boost. I'm at +2 now with Glastrier. So one important thing about this turn is that the Trick Room ends. But unluckily for my opponent, I have a guaranteed win con awaiting me in this next turn. So Urshifu comes back in, and my opponent has one of 2 options. Stop Trick Room by killing Porygon, or kill Glastrier. They know I'm AV, and if they go for Max Phantasm Close Combat, it's pretty likely that I will faint. So they do opt to kill Glastrier, but I'm still in a winning position because I do get up Trick Room. So no matter what happened, I won the game. Or, well, this is probably the best option because I don't guaranteed win, but like it puts my, I'm still in a really great position. But like I would have guaranteed won the game if they didn't do this play. But I'm still in a great position because they didn't kill Porygon, and they couldn't get they couldn't kill both my Pokemon at once. That's the important part, because Porygon is actually a normal type, and that actually is really relevant here because they could try to drop my defense and then maybe kill me with close combat. But even then, I'd be pretty confident I'd be able to live. Trick Room does go up once again for me, which is amazing. The 16 HP Porygon is just clutching this game again and again. I send an Incineroar, and now I'm threatening Fake Out once again. I'm threatening a KO onto a Shifu if I want to take it. I just need to figure out what's best to close the game out here. Spectriate, in fact, does get small again, which is, you know, good for me. So this is a pretty safe play. I think, like, Fake Out Recover is great. Even if they were to crit me with Hyper Beam, I still might live just because Porygon is so good. But there's nothing they can do to punish me. Porygon also will do mad damage to Urshifu because it lowered its special defense. Its special defense is pretty bad as it is, but if you lower it, oh man, it starts to hurt. So they do go for Mudshot into P2, but that's, you know, that's not doing much. So now I have an easy play of doubling up into Urshifu, and I will win the game once again. I also have the win con of obviously just pressing Recover until Spectrade dies to Life Orb. That's always an option, and there's nothing they can do to ever stop that option because it has to attack. It would have to protect forever. Like I would just simply win if it's a 1v1, just because it does have Life Orb, which is important to note in these endgame scenarios because I do play to that option and I'm thinking about it actively. I do paralyze the Urshifu here, which is actually the worst thing that could have happened to me. That was the worst. That was so unlucky because now Instant doesn't get to move before Urshifu, and Urshifu actually KOs my Instant. That was actually the worst thing that could have happened that turn. That was bad. So, luckily for me, they've been mudshotting me, which means Porygon is in fact slower than the paralyzed Urshifu. It could have got a little scary had there been no mudshots, but thank God that Urshifu is in fact not slower than the Porygon. Otherwise, that would have been bad. Like, that was just an easy KO on Urshifu, but I scored the lucky paralysis, which turned out to be unlucky. It almost got tragic, but now I just target with try attacking Urshifu because I'm slower, and then I just can just Stomping Tantrum. Like, it's a pretty safe play. It almost got scary. I'm not gonna lie. I got really afraid when that happened. I was like, are you kidding me? What is this? Like, no. I don't lose this way. No way. But once again, we prevail. This game was a lot closer. Even though it felt like I was more in control, I felt like my Trick Room turns went better, but it was a lot closer. They ended up trying to target down Garchomp, but that's not going to matter. Garchomp actually not even 2KO. Like, we win 100% of the time. They died to the next Life Orb. So this game felt good. I'm really happy to start out 2-0. That's always an amazing feeling in any tournament. But I am feeling good. I had two pretty dominant sets. I was pretty confident in both my sets so far. So I'm happy with the results in this thus far in the tournament. I'm feeling good mentally. And yeah, you'll have to wait and see to see how I do. Obviously, a lot of you know how I do if you follow me on Twitter, which you should do. I'm trying to gain an army of followers, so you should follow me on Twitter. And also, you should follow me on Twitch and sub to me as well. Just do it all. Just do it all. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys learned something from this. This is just some pretty textbook Trick Room strategy. Like, this is how Trick Room's supposed to go, and I think it's a great resource just to see, you know, Trick Room working well and how you want to play it. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Please sub to me on YouTube. Please sub. And I'll see you guys next time.